Hello and welcome to part 4 of this C# coding homework exercise where we are creating an application called Almost Chess. So we created our classes, we populated them with class members, like properties, and we did the constructors. So now we can revisit our chessboard and actually make it display the chessboard. Now the chessboard looks like this. So we have our header for the columns, then we have our first row, which is the plus 3 dashes, and so forth, and then we have our header for our first row, which is the row number. Then we have a vertical separator, then bunch of spaces, another vertical separator, and so forth, and it repeats into 8x8 board. Now remember, the board will be displayed as long as the user does not enter wrong coordinates. Well, once that happens, we will exit the program. So we can, in our move class, we have our exit property, which will be used to verify whether the user wants to exit or not, or if the coordinates are correct or not. So I'm going to create, actually before I do that, I realized that, remember, in our move class, we are inheriting from our pawn. So when I go to our chessboard, I don't need the pawn object. And that's because when I initialize the move class or move object, since it inherits from pawn, it goes into pawn class and runs the constructor there, and in other words, initialize the pawn as well. Otherwise, it would initialize it twice. It would initialize it with the pawn itself, and then move would initialize it again. So we don't need that. We just need the move class here, which kind of, I don't know, like trickles down, I guess, into our pawn class and initialize that one as well. So let's create a method. I'm gonna create a public method. It's gonna be void, and it's gonna be called display chessboard, and it will do exactly that. It will display the chessboard, and to realize what's going on, again, we first need to do the header for our columns. But like I said, we need to be kind of displaying the chessboard as long as the user doesn't exit. So we can put everything into a while loop. So while not, and then move dot exit. Move is the object that we initialize it in our constructor here, and move has the exit property that we are calling. So as long as that's false, as long as the user doesn't want to exit, we will continue running the program. And we will, first thing, after each display, we will clear the console for the so the user doesn't see like all the chessboards one after another, but instead we will clear the chessboard from the screen, and it will basically display one screen refreshing after each move. So let's do the header. So it's to the console dot write line. Now I'm doing write line because it's basically just one line, 0 1 2 3 4 6 7. So I'm going to do that. In the write line, I'm going to do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. But you can see that 0 doesn't start at the edge. There's a bunch of spaces, and there's spaces in between the numbers. So I'm gonna space it out just manually. I'll do 4 spaces from the left, 1 2 3 4 and 0. But each number will have only 3 spaces because we have 3 dashes. The plus is kind of in the corner of each of those squares. So we are doing 3 spaces for 3 dashes between the numbers. So 1 2 3 1, 1 2 3 2, and so forth. So this is our header for the columns. So now we can do our loops. So our main loop will be integer r I'll call it R for rows, because that's what that's our outer loop. So it's gonna be 0, R is less than dimension, R plus plus. So this is our outer loop that will display one row at a time, and in it we will be doing the columns. So the first thing that we are going to display is we are going to display the line with the plus and 3 dashes, plus and 3 dashes, and so forth. And again, there's a space, it's not right at the edge. So the first thing I'm going to do is console.write, not write line, but write, because everything is in one line. After the iteration, everything that's being output is all in one line. Then at the end of the line, after we're done outputting, we'll move to the next line. So we will write just 2 spaces, 1, 2, I guess. This is the left spacing, 2 spaces. So this is basically the space between the corner of the screen and the first plus. So now we can actually do the symbol itself, which we have stored into ChessBoard horizontal symbol variable. So we'll do our for loop, and it's gonna be integer. I'm calling it C for columns. It equals 0. C is less than dimension, C++. And in it we will do the, again, console.write, not write line, but write, and we will display the chess horizontal symbol, which is the plus and 3 dashes. So this is our first one. After that, after the line, we move to the next line. But remember, the symbol is plus and 3 dashes. So at the end of the loop, we would have only up to here. We would have the number 7 is, we would have plus and 3 dashes, but we would not have another plus at the end. It would kind of be open. It wouldn't really matter, but it's kind of visual thing. So I'm gonna add that console.write, and I'm gonna add the plus sign. So I'm gonna add the final plus sign at the right edge of the chessboard. And after I write that, I can move to the next line and do the vertical separator, which is gonna be in its own loop. So it's gonna be for integer C equals 0, C++. I'm sorry, C is less than dimension, now C++. And here we will first, remember, we first have to write the number, like the header for the row, and then we will do the separator. So we will write the header first, so it's gonna be console.write, and we will the number is basically the outer loop, which is the R, and we will add another space in between. And once we have that, we can write the separator. So we will do again console.write, and we will display the chessboard vertical symbol. Now we will display the pawns, because remember, the pawns are either space or an X. So whether it's space or X, we don't really care in this point. We will simply display whatever the pawns array that we have as a static here holds. So we will display the symbol that is currently in that particular index of the array that corresponds with this array or of the chessboard. So we will do our pawn. Since it's a static, we can call it directly that pawn, and we will do the R and C indexes. R for the row and C is for this particular loop where we are looping through the vertical symbols. And after that, remember there's still some spaces there, so we will add another space. All right, so the space is there because if you look at it, it's kind of in the center of it. It's not at the edge or anything, so we are adding horizontal space, so it's kind of neatly placed. So I'm gonna do display the pawn neatly centered, like that. And so over here I'm gonna do little comments too, just for the easier to read the code. The horizontal pattern, and this is our, remember this is the numbers on the left, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, which is our y-axis header, and this is our x-axis header. All right, so we have our pattern, and we display the pawn in between, and after that, just like we did with the plus, remember at the end of each row we have a horizontal pattern that we have to display as well. The vertical separator that we have to display. So we will do console dot, we're still writing on the same line, so console dot write, and just like we did with the plus, now we do the separator, and we move to the next line after that to display the next line. All right, so let's test this. So in our program, I'm gonna initialize the chessboard. I call it ChessBoard equals new chessboard, and I'm going to call the display chessboard method. So let's see what happens if I run it. Well, it runs, but it keeps refreshing. All right, and it's kind of off here, so we need to fix that, obviously. Right, so let's go to our chessboard. So what I'm gonna do, for now, I'm just gonna comment out the while loop, because we don't have, that's why it's keeps refreshing, because it's always false, so it checks it, and we don't have the logic for that implemented in our move class yet. So I'm just gonna do that, and I'm gonna run it. So now I have a static form, and you can see that it kind of looks like it's supposed to, but not really. But we have our headers, we have our pattern. This is not really centered, and we don't want the zeros and ones, we want the symbol to be placed there. So let's check that. And so I will need to fix our loops here, and I'm gonna do that in the next video, where I'll do all the fixes for this class. So stick around, and in the next video we'll fix all that is wrong with this class. Take care.